Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Never Mind the Buy Box. This evening, I am joined by the lovely Hayden Davidson. Good evening, Hayden. How are you?
Evening. Very good, very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm feeling really good today, actually. Not that I don't normally feel that good, but no, I'm feeling really good. I've been because I started chat with Nat again, and so I've realized I've spoken to loads of people already this week. Evening Ruth, evening Jed. Just let us know that you can see and hear us, by the way. I normally say that's to start with. But I've been speaking quite a lot of people this week, and I just realized how much I just love doing that type of thing, and how much I've missed, especially over the last year, having that one-to-one contact with people and just talking about, business and, things that are going on in people's lives, business related. I mean, if you want to book a chat with me and talk about unrelated stuff, that's fine as well. I don't mind either way. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that. So I think for me, I am quite a people person. I enjoy talking to people. So for me, I think it's something that, especially after all the rubbish with COVID and everything like that, it's like perked me up, and I probably should have done it sooner.
Yeah, no, and you. I spoke to you last month as well, which wasn't related to Nat's chat, but it was a chat with Nat. And yeah,
it was. We did have a chat, and I am Nat.
yeah. We'll talk about that later, but obviously, yeah, amazing things have happened since that chat, actually, and because of your chat, literally, we're talking like 80% net profit increase since last month since your chat from what I implemented. So. Wow. Everyone book a chat with Nat.
Amazing. That's so good to
hear. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that. Thank you for that, Hayden. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Right. Give us a hello. I can see Jed and I can see Ruth, but I can't see anyone else. Jane, Lindsay have joined us. Just let us know in the comments if you can see and hear us all right. First things foremost, we've had a couple of changes this week. We're going to talk about a couple of things specifically with Hayden. Evening, Ramel. Someone says, hey, I'm not sure who it is. So it's Jane. Just getting the comments up. Just before we get started, I've made it out like it's not true. I've seen in the group this week, and I was talking to Hayden about it beforehand, that the dreaded policy compliance documentation requests have come back. Thank you for confirming, Ruth. And therefore, people are starting to get more and more DOC or Declaration of Conformity requests, those policy compliance documentation. So, I think we've cut off of Facebook for some reason.
Let me have a look.
Yeah, we have.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. There may be an issue on Facebook end.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone completely. I think we're still live on YouTube though.
I'll check.
Right. Yeah, Facebook has crashed. Let me see if I can try and edit it. Let's have a quick look. Save changes.
Yeah, we're still on YouTube. Yeah, so yeah, no stress.
I don't know if you want to. Let me just post in the group. Yeah, we're still. Oh, I don't know. Are we live? Because Ted says we're all right. And
yeah, they're on YouTube, I think. Hold on.
Oh, is everyone jumped onto YouTube? Right. Okay. Oh. 2 secs, guys. Sorry to interrupt. I am going to just grab the link for Never Mind the Buy Box YouTube. How annoying!
Wow, is it?
Oh. That has never happened to me.
Oh, before. Never.
Yeah. No. I'm like, sorry, guys. Bear with us a sec. I know we're still live on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, let me jump. Never. Oh no! I'm going to get feedback. I just need the link. 2 secs.
Everyone get a cup of tea. Exactly.
Right. Get rid of that. And I can go back. Sorry, Hayden.
It's all right.
Right, Secret Wealth Project. How weird. So has that happened to you before, Hayden?
Never. No.
I just put guys, Facebook. StreamYard has crashed. Mind the buy box. Here is the YouTube link. I can't argue. This has never happened to me, so I really can't complain. Right.
Or we could log out and log back in. It's up to you.
I can try that, but I'll just see what happens there. But I just don't understand why it's not happening.
It's going on YouTube. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's really, really weird. Apologies about that, guys. Yeah, now it's disappeared. So Kay says hi, but it just happened like a minute ago. So I'm really confused with what's going on here, whether or not you guys can see us and hear us.
Yeah,
Kay says she can see and hear us. Okay. We're back on Facebook. Okay, right. View on Facebook, edit.
But there's nothing here on mine. Very strange.
So weird.
Really weird. Oh.
Right, let's see if we're back on. Oh, I think we are back on. Right, guys, sorry about this. Can you just give us some likes and loves just to re-push the notification back out? Because it must have just been like a little glitch.
There's still nothing coming up on mine, so I don't know what is going on.
Yeah, no, it's like mine started again. No, it hasn't. For some reason, it's just not streaming. Simon says evening, so we must be streaming live. So
right.
The only thing I can do, had to switch on YouTube as it stopped working on Facebook. That's what Jane says. Daphne says hi. Hi, Simon. Yeah, anyway, okay, back to fingers crossed everyone's either joining us from YouTube, but they're saying Facebook is back on for me. We can't see it on Facebook, so we might be a bit blind on comments tonight, guys. So sorry about this. It keeps starting from the, yes, it's the, yes, now I know what's happened. It's not back on Facebook, guys. What's actually happening is it's just starting again from the beginning because it's like the replay.
Right.
So, yeah, now we've figured that out. Sorry, guys, it's just going to have to be watching through YouTube tonight because I don't think refreshing it is going to do anything, unfortunately. The only thing I could do is remove the Facebook, remove destination.
Try again.
And then try and re-add it back in. Let's see if that works.
Oh, always fun.
Oh, my God. If I fix that, I'm like a genius.
Absolutely.
Just let us know if that's...
I remember it for my life.
Check. It's giving me a tick. I don't know if you want to check just to see if that's come back on. I'm really sorry about the dramas, guy. Let us know in the comments, actually, whilst we're waiting, just to check if we've reconnected. So we were talking around declarations of conformity. That's what we were talking about.
It's live. Yeah. We're live again.
Oh, my God, I can't believe I fixed something technical. Totally fixed it. Amazing.
Yeah, it's live.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Sorry, I know some of you are switched now. That's fine. Yes,
Just
I fixed it. Woohoo! I fixed it. Brilliant. So, yeah, finally, 10 minutes in, asking the question that I wanted to ask from the start. Who's getting some declaration of conformity requests soon? We know that we're seeing them for NERF, and I think, I can't remember what...
Best way.
Best way. Philip says, I'm with you until I stop listing swimming pools on Facebook Marketplace. There we go. So it's best way as well, which actually is a really interesting one because obviously, technically, they're not really
toys.
Well, they are toys, but they're not toys. But for me, they're more in they should be more in the home and garden category or something like that. So it's, that's
weird,
a little bit of a strange one. So, and they're so random, these declarations of conformity. They don't ever appear to have any rhyme or reason. Who gets targeted, who doesn't get targeted. It's NERF, but only certain NERF. It's best away, but only certain best away. Some sellers get it, some sellers don't. It's just such a random thing. And I understand when this originally first came out, Amazon was saying, look, when it comes to issues of safety with products that you are selling on our marketplace, absolutely at all times, you have to accept that we might request to see policy documentation to prove that those products are authentic and they're safe. So this is something that I thought at the time this is definitely going to be something we're going to see on an ad hoc basis. Now, when they first started doing this over a year ago, probably pre-COVID 2019, I thought maybe it's something they're going to do just before the run up to Christmas, because they did it in exactly the same time a year later. But now we've got a new round and we're, coming into May. So it's not like even there's a pattern emerging for when they're going to do this. Unfortunately, we can't really,
Well, I changed my buying patterns because of this.
Yeah,
I've got about 150 SKUs of toys at the moment anyway, but I'm very wide in all of them because of this reason. I knew this. I didn't know, but I acted as if this was a strong possibility of happening again. So I think that's obviously a good idea to do.
Mm-hmm. So when you changed your buying habits, did you exclude toys completely, or did you exclude toys for younger children? Because something I'm not sure people are aware of is actually what you can go ahead and do with some of these declaration policy requests is you can appeal it with the appeal button when it comes through, or request, I think it's an appeal button. And then what you can do is, if your toy is not actually suitable for children below the age of 15.
14, I think. Yeah.
Is it 14 or 15? Something. Yeah, 14 or 15. Then what you can do is you can actually send a note to Seller Central. So some of these big Nerf guns actually might fall under this category, where it says, where you say something along the lines of, please look into this. This toy is not suitable to be used by children under the age of 14 or 15, whichever one it is. And therefore, no documentation should be required. So it's something it's worth doing. Might qualify for some of the Nerfs. And you know what? It might actually qualify for some of the pools.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's worth a go. It's worth a go. There's definitely not any implications for appealing. It's not going to affect your account health or anything like that. So give it a go, guys. It's definitely worth doing and appealing. I'm trying to look at the comments. So Matt's joined us. Matt Webley, yo. Erkan says, got one so far. Just more comments about, I think most people just can't believe I managed to fix the stream. It was like, you don't put me in charge of anything technical at all. Everyone's come over. Yeah, a lot more YouTube viewers now after watching that. Let's have a quick look. Sean says, what if you list toys as like new? Well, that's an interesting one. My own personal opinion, unless anyone else in the comment or yourself, Hayden's got anything further to add, is that doesn't affect the inability to prove if the toy is safe or not, whether it's new or not new, unless there's some sort of rule out there that indemnifies secondhand goods from the person that's selling it being responsible for its safety.
Yeah, I haven't tested that, but yeah, I can't see why it would change anything.
I don't personally. If anyone's got any experience on that, let us know, because I think for me, I don't see why there would be, any changes to that.
As for your question, by the way, Nat, about whether I've changed my buying habit.
Yeah, sorry, let's go back to that.
That's all right. I'll just answer that, because there might be people waiting for me to answer that. I did. I still changed it. Some of the stuff is below the age of 14, 15, whatever it is. But a lot of the stuff, even though I just don't really trust Amazon fully. So I still think, even though they are meant to be older than 14, maybe 15, 16, I don't know. If Amazon's done that with that age group, I just feel like the whole toys in general, they've obviously got their eye on that category. So I'm still going very wide, and that's just how I'm running my business.
So yeah, does that mean, because obviously toys around this time of year are selling on Amazon, don't get me wrong, it's not like Amazon does not sell a single toy between January and September during the year. Of course it does. It's a really popular market on Amazon. It's very consistent all year round. People are buying toys all year round. But do you think you'll have a harder decision to make in Q4 on whether or not, based on what you already know about policy compliance documentation, whether or not you want to go deeper and wider in the toy market during Q4, which is absolutely manic.
Yeah, absolutely. But if nothing's happened by, like, you know, we're talking like October, you know, and I'm still managing to consistently buy at the lower, wider levels, then I'll definitely just take the risk and bite the bullet and just go a bit deeper. Because the worst case scenario is that you do have to sell them on eBay, isn't it? You know, or even if you break even or something, you know, I think that's the worst case scenario. You've still got that asset value of that item. It's not like it's just disappears. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't just disappear and then you've lost all that money. I know it's a hassle, it's an effort, but you've still got that value of that item, haven't you? And it's still Christmas, so it'll still sell elsewhere if not, I think. So I would go deeper, but I definitely wouldn't be buying like 100, 200 of one item, that's for sure.
No. And unless potentially it's from a wholesaler and you've already checked beforehand if that wholesaler can supply a policy documentation or a declaration of conformity. So that's a really prudent question to ask, guys. If you are in the wholesale market, if you are wholesaling toys, then one of the checklist questions has now got to be, can you provide me a declaration of conformity to prove the safety of this product? And please, may I have a copy of it? You know, before you even buy, because it's all very well them saying, yes, I've got it. Then 6 months later, you come back and they're like, oh, no, we don't have it anymore. So make sure you ask and you request for it at the same time. I think that's, covering your own backside in that way. I'm not looking, unfortunately, at my phone tonight because it's messing up with restarting with the video. So I can't see who's asking some of these questions. Apologies, guys. But someone said on there, I list no toys. Sean says, sounds like, now what have I done? Sounds like you still need receipts, even if you put as used, potentially as well. I don't think you would need receipts to prove. I don't think you would get any authenticity claims. Maybe you would. It's an area I do not sell in, to be perfectly honest. I've never sold a used item on Amazon, you know, in 6 years. So it's something, if anyone's got any extra comments to add to that, be more than welcome to hear people's thoughts and perspective on it. Now, this is interesting what Erkan said, actually, and this is what I wanted to tag on to the end. Phil says that he got an extra 20 today for docs, but Phil's like the entertainer. You know, everything he sells is a toy, I think, from the sounds of it. So I think that probably more than likely, the deeper you are on toys, the more that you're going to experience receiving the request, documentation requests. So what was interesting last time, now the good news is we've gone through this twice. We know a little bit more about what happens at the end of the dates. Now, firstly, the good news is they're quite long lead times that Amazon give you to be able to supply the documentation. I know some of you do have shorter lead times. I know some of you have longer. But what that actually enables you to do is it does give you the opportunity to sell the item. Now, before, when this happened, we didn't know what would happen once it got past that date. Now we do. One of two things. One, nothing happens, as in you just carry on selling it and nothing gets removed. Or two, you get removed off of the item. But as far as I'm aware, you can still, you know, remove the item, have it removed back to you. It's just a bit of faff and you have to pay for a removal order. So it just goes in as standard in your stranded inventory. So, but just being absolutely clear, the latter happened more than the former. So more people got those listings removed. Now, some people were able to relist the items. Some people weren't. We were talking about this beforehand. Some policy document requests for toys that people were aware of, like when you tried to go and list it on Seller Central, just disappears. You were talking about that beforehand, weren't you? And it was like,
I've got loads of stock at my prep center. I've got about 50 toys that just won't list. And the the issue is that obviously now it's a listing that's not allowed. Restricted. It's a restricted ASIN because of the you know, the toys and games issue there. So Yeah, well, I thought I found really, really good items, but it was a restricted listing. So
Oh no, and that's the trouble. And I think, or maybe Matt's watching, maybe Karen's watching, maybe I don't know if there's a way to identify these that can go into BuyBot Pro. I'm just trying to think about if there's a way to externally identify a restricted listing, because the only way that you'll know it's a restricted listing is when you go ahead and list it. So
I do think a really good way of seeing that is that if it's too good to be true, then it usually is with Amazon, because Amazon's got so it is very busy on Amazon now. You know, like if something is like 100% ROI and it's a toy and it's from like a well-known store, this is like talking from experience, what happened with my ASINs. If it's a really well-known store, if it's a quite a mainstream brand, if there's no one else on the listing, if it's just you, then likelihood is that that's probably for good reason, you know. But yeah, sorry, Karen, other than that, the actual technical side of it.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those things. So what I would say now, which I didn't say before, so if you're watching an old episode of Never Mind the Buy Box and I pop up and I'm starting to talk about declaration of conformity, it's because we've been through the process and we know a little bit more about what happens now. Now, at the time, what I was saying to people when it first came out is, okay, maybe wait for the other people to sell out, maybe do this, maybe do that. And even though Amazon has given a relatively long lead time, some people are right up until the end of May, what is going to happen, unfortunately, unless it's a ridiculously fast seller, there is going to be no chance for price recovery within that period of time at this time of year. If we were in Q4 like the other requests, then possibly. But we are not in Q4 at the moment, guys, and especially in toys, they are not selling 8 times faster than they are outside of Q4. So we just have to take that into account. So what I would say to anyone is, first of port of call, appeal if you think it's under a 14 or a 15-year-old. Now I think it is 14. Go for that appeal. See if you can get that Amazon to give you an exemption on that. 2, spend a hot minute trying to find the declaration, have a Google, see if you can find it in Google Images. If you've bought it from a wholesaler, see if they've got it. It's always worth a try. If you bought it from a retailer, no chance. You're not going to be able to get a declaration of conformity from a retailer at all until someone proves me wrong and writes in the comment, I got one, you know, or something like that. But it's always time versus money for me. And in my opinion, if you can't quite easily access it, then sell it. Get your money back, move on.
It's not worth the hassle sometimes, is it?
Yeah, it's not worth the hassle. And I think sometimes there's good argument if it's a really nice, consistent seller. There's definitely good argument to waiting up until the last minute to sell, just if it's, you know, to see if all the others sell and sell their products. But the trouble is, everybody's in the same boat. The listing's likely to be restricted. So therefore, it is probably going to be a case that the price is going to tank because people will want to get rid of it. And that's just me being totally realistic. So in my personal opinion, I would say the best course of action for this type of thing, if you do get them, is to try and sell them as quickly as possible and not faff around trying to get declarations of conformity. I don't know if you've got anything extra to add to that, Hayden.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you bought, doesn't it? Because actually, I would say, honestly, 60-70% of my items, actually nothing happened when we went over the line. So I know that obviously from what you saw from the sellers that you spoke to, it was different. But for me personally, 60-70% of the stock that I was selling, I was really, really worried about it. Oh, here we go. You know, it's what's going to happen. And then 60-70% just nothing happened. I could carry on selling them, and only about 14 SKUs went into stranded, and I had to pull them out. So, yeah, I had a lot of Disney stuff, you know, and all the Disney stuff just stayed out. It's still there, but still hasn't sold. But that's all right. I'll get my pound profit one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it may be that 50-60%, you know, is all right, or it may be the other way around. Who knows? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it was going to be a case of, probably some work, some don't. And again, I know that there's argument of some people said that if Amazon had appeared at any time on the listing, those were the one that stayed open, and the ones that Amazon never appeared on the listing, they didn't. I haven't sold, full transparency, I haven't sold a single toy since Q4, and a few weeks after getting rid of the stock for Q4. So for me, I can't offer any further insight on this, unfortunately. But we all know through, speaking to each other, Facebook group, through Hayden's Facebook group as well, that we can get some good information of what's happening. And that's the thing about Amazon. You don't know until you've been through it, to be perfectly honest. Jed and someone else whose name I can't see makes an excellent point. Free removals still until 11:59 tonight. So if you have got anything that's had a policy,
might get on there.
Yeah, exactly. Hayden's like, right, yeah,
yeah. What about that?
Yeah, so free removals, really good point, guys. So if you have had something that falls under the policy documentation, then just pull it out. Go, post-it note. He's writing it down.
I'll get it all out. There's loads of stuff I've been looking at, and I went, "Oh, I missed it.
I know, and it does really add up. Whatever. It does add up. So it's definitely worth taking, and you can resend it back into Amazon, but it just takes around. You have to wait 90 days in order.
It definitely does add up. I think last month it was about £35 I spent on removal orders, so it definitely adds up.
Yeah. 100%. And then just as an add-on to that as well, because I always like to make people aware, free removal orders happen a lot slower than paid removal orders. Yes, for obvious reasons.
I didn't know this.
No, free removal orders they can take anything up to about a month to get to you, whereas a paid removal order, you should be receiving your goods back within about 14 days.
Okay.
Something like that. So just because I know what it's like, everyone's sort of like, they put in their free removals and they expect it to come back and be delivered the next day. But Amazon, I mean, again, no rhyme or reason for me the way that they do certain things, but they send it back like one at a time, and then all of a sudden 3 months later you get like a pallet.
Absolutely. Them Tux things I got an IP violation for, I had to remove them, 8 of them, 10 of them, I think, and they came one at a time on the space of a month. I'm still getting them now. I think I had the last one like 2 days ago. Like every 4 days I'll get another one delivered.
There we go. Someone said they got theirs the next day. It really I think the last time they did free removals was during lockdown, so probably they were a little bit backed up again. Hi, Terry's joined us and he's riding his bike again. Good to see that you're doing something productive with your time whilst you're getting your exercise in. Someone else says, and again, I must apologize, we're a bit broken tonight with streams of communication, so I can't see whoever's commenting name unless they're logged in through StreamYard or on YouTube. Mark Penn's joined us. Evening, Mark. Got that they're free removals the next day. So it's definitely worth doing, definitely worth taking advantage of, especially, it's one of those things that when you've got those bad buys and you're like, oh no, I want to sell it. But then when the free removals come in, it's like liberation. It's like, I can justify removing it out and selling it on eBay or something like that.
And the grocery items that you only bought for £1, and it's like, I've got to spend half the amount I bought it for just removing it. So that's nice.
Exactly. John says, what is Amazon is selling the item? Does that mean they have the DOC and won't request it? Unfortunately not, John. It's pretty much, again, not 100% sure on this, but I think that if someone requests it, in this case, it's not, I'm thinking of Hazmat, the SDS form. I think that everybody who's selling does have to submit it individually. I've not heard of anyone.
Yeah.
I think it's individually that someone has to do it. So Sean says he gets returns every day, Nelly. Nothing wrong with them. Absolutely. I always recommend whenever you get any refunds on Amazon, not putting it back into the general population. I definitely recommend pulling it out if you can, checking it and resending it back in. because Amazon just do silly things. With
Some
their-
of the things obviously, yeah, some of the things are really annoying. It's tricky selling DVDs and stuff, isn't it? Because a lot of the stuff, you know, they just watch them all, take them out of the case, put them back in. They're in fine condition, but they're out the seal, so the value's half, and then you can't sell it as new again. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's little things like that that can be. They're the main return I get, you know.
Mm-hmm. And things like the computer games where they use the code and then return it, and like Amazon put it back into the population, and then the next person leaves you a negative feedback because it's empty or whatever. Definitely worth returning those when you can.
Now, I think the worst I had. Oh, sorry. I think the
worst. Carry on.
It was a what's the brand? I think, is it KitchenAid? Yeah, it's KitchenAid, isn't it? The brand that's quite expensive brand, and their accessories are really expensive. They've got it was a blender mixer, and it was £45 I was selling it for, and they're that price from the retailer now because they've discontinued them. But you can get the fake versions of them, so they are replicas. And someone actually bought my real one, and then sent back and got a refund and put in the replica one, which was worth £10, and kept my £45 one. They're just terrible. Like I knew what they did straight away. Yeah.
It's like ridiculous. You know, like, would you ever in your life do anything like that?
It wouldn't even cross my mind.
It wouldn't cross my mind.
And they're the ones that slag off Amazon sellers at the pub with their friends.
I know. It would cross my mind, but I would never do it. I just sort of like think, God, what sort of person must you be to like do that? But don't forget, I still think, and I will absolutely challenge anyone, I still think no one beats my returns with the used ankle tags. Because if I hadn't have created that removal order, imagine if you'd had ordered a Clean on Me double Soap and Glory set multi-pack, which it was. That's what it was listed as. And you've got a skanky, dirty, used ankle tag instead.
You'll never shop on Amazon again.
I know. Can you imagine? And then Amazon might have like suspended me or something like that for sending in like skanky ankle tags with bits of skin on or something. But yeah, absolutely. Mark says a-holes, 100%. Erkin says had a buyer change out an old Xbox controller with a brand new one, sent it back in without a box. Yeah,
crazy, absolutely. Literally crazy, isn't it? I had someone. No, it wasn't me. No, someone in my Facebook group said that they sold Pringles and someone ate the packet of Pringles, left 2 in it, and sent it back.
Brilliant. That's pretty good. That one. That's pretty good. But anything, oh my God, I don't want any grocery items back or anything like that. Just keep it. Keep your health and personal care. I'll take the toys back, but that's it. Nothing else. You know, please don't send it back to me. Keep it. Have it on me. That's the way I see it. Yeah. So the other big news this week. So I want to move on and talk about you, Hayden, as well, and what's changed for you since we last had you on Never Mind the Buy Box, because it's probably been about 6 months, something like that. And lots of things have changed in the last 6 months. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But I just wanted to talk about a big change that's happened in Amazon this week, which is the restock limitations. So the single item limitations. This is something as arbitrage sellers that we weren't too affected by. Yes, it was. It was going to affect more people that sold probably, what I do, like unique bundles, or people that were in wholesale that were selling really fast moving products, probably like the Luke Dugans of the world and people like that. So I think it's gone off of Facebook again. It's just failed again. Literally lost half of our viewers. Right. I know what to do now. Let me remove it and add it back on. It is playing up tonight. Remove. Amazing. So annoying. If I fix it again, I'm a genius.
I bet you've never seen them drop off like that. Like, what did I say?
I know. It was like we had like 75 people live watching us. Right. It's gone back on again.
75. Sorry. Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah, I can't control it. Sorry, but I think we should be back. Sorry, guys. So yes, it was probably, so most arbitrage sellers wouldn't have been too impacted by it. Probably like 25%, something like that. But now the change that Amazon has made is actually going to impact on most arbitrage sellers as well. So this is now, and I think a lot of people at first were confusing it with IPI, which is a different type of storage metric. So what it was during COVID, Amazon just became so massively restricted on space. They couldn't swing a cat in any of their fulfillment centers. So they put, the first restriction they put in place was they stopped non-essential goods. Then at the same time, they restricted single ASIN units, new single ASIN units to like 200 units as an absolute maximum. And then that stayed in place for, join on YouTube, guys, if you want continual uninterrupted, me panicking and going, we've crashed on Facebook. So join on I just put the link in Secret Wealth Project, but join on. Even Matt Cromie's joined us on YouTube. Something must be up. So third time lucky. So we had this 200 limit put in place. And to be honest, if you're a private label seller, 200 limit is pretty crap. It's very hard to launch a product on 200 limit. So what was happening, a lot of people were having to put their stock into 3PLs, drip feed it in, and keep a constant flow of stock going in. Now, two things have happened during this. I think Amazon have seen it as, wow, look at our warehouses. They're, nice and clear, and there isn't lots going on there. So I think this has really helped Amazon because it's helped identify that their warehouses were just chocked up with crap, to be perfectly honest, and lots of products that weren't selling. And if there's one thing that has demonstrated to us over the past year is Amazon is no longer going to tolerate products sat in their warehouse that don't sell. All the changes they make reflect on that, starting with the IPI. And, one of those indications is sell-through rate. And, one of the indicators is stranded inventory. It doesn't have as much impact as the sell-through rate. But all of these elements add up to the fact that Amazon's saying, we're fulfilled by Amazon, we're not storage by Amazon. So we want the stock that's coming in, we want it to sell. Combined with that, with giving more buy boxes to merchant fulfilled and seller fulfilled prime, with this new minimum order quantity that they've given to seller fulfilled prime people as well. I think it all comes down to the fact it's a massive indication that Amazon is saying we can't keep building fulfillment centers at the rate we were building them, and we are growing continuously, so something's got to give. And that's all your rubbish stock. It ain't coming in unless it sells. So that's why they did what they did.
That makes sense. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started selling on Amazon, probably I know there's some people watching tonight that would have been around 3 or 4 years ago. If you guys remember the rate that they were popping out fulfillment centers, it was like every quarter it was saying, right, Manchester's opened, or this one's opened. We've opened a new fulfillment center. I haven't heard of a new fulfillment center certainly being opened in the last year. That's understandable due to COVID, of course. But they were popping up like nobody's business. But of course, there's always going to come a time, even for Amazon, where they're going to say, is this cost effective? For every new fulfillment center, we have to hire 5,000 staff. And we know from Amazon's point of view that they're trying to automate more. They look at their shops, the London one, no staff. Look at the drones, no staff. Electric vehicles. Yes, I know someone's got to drive one of those, but eventually driverless vehicles. I think they're trying to automate their business. The cube scanners, instead of real people checking stuff in. So it literally all comes down to Amazon, trying to not move away from FBA. I don't think that will ever happen, but just saying, look, if you want to use our storage facilities, you've got to make sure the products that you're sending in to us is going to sell. So that's where I think it comes from. So the good news is, with them increasing or removing the 200 limit, it actually means that the warehouses have eased up. So all of the issues that they were experiencing over COVID seem to have stopped now, and combining that with Q4 as well. So Amazon's back in business. They're back to running things the way that they were. But what they've done is they've listened to the Q4 sellers, the private label sellers, which are, look, we don't want restrictions because we want to be able to launch our products and do this and do that. But what's actually happened is, instead of limiting one ASIN, they're limiting the amount of stock that you can send in, but not by volume, not by size, by dimension or weight. They're limiting it by unit. So again, we've seen a minimum of 1,000 units for most people. So that's what the minimum. I don't think I've seen anyone less with 1,000 units yet. I don't know if you have, Hayden.
I don't think so. Maybe 700, 800, like a new seller.
Yeah, possibly. But at the same time, I'm also representing the client that's a new seller, and they've not been given a limit. Same with IPI. You don't get it for the first 6 months, I don't think, of getting it. So you have to be active. You have to have been selling it for about 6 months before you get it, because you have to go through 2 cycles. So yeah, Mark says they're killing him. I saw Mark's figures. And the trouble is, it'd be interesting to hear Mark's thoughts on this, actually, is I think this is something that might change in the future, purely because I know some hugely successful private label sellers. I know some really successful sellers that have gone over their limits, and it's not. So what Amazon have done, they've just done it based on an algorithm, which of course they can't go in and individually look at each seller, but they're cutting off their nose despite their face. So they're not taking into account seasonality. They're not taking into account other things. But the similarities we see between that and IPI, because IPI, guys, is completely different. We know that pretty much for sure. But what we do think will probably happen it will operate in a similar way, as in it will be a rolling limit. So what can happen is you can, the better you do, the more your units will increase, a bit like your IPI score as well. So I know some people were very confused at the start, as was I, because I thought it was connected to IPI first of all. I was thinking, great, we've got unlimited, so that means we'll have unlimited units. Not the case, unfortunately. So it's definitely something that's going to be a big change, and it is going to have a big impact on people. And people are going to have to be patient with this, and it's going to have to be something that you're going to have to look at your sell-through rates. You're going to have to look at everything else that you normally look at with your storage limits, but don't confuse it for your storage limits, because they're definitely not connected.
Yeah. I feel so sorry for some people though. Obviously, Mark, he's only got a tiny little bit of budroom compared to the size of his business. I've seen a seller that's really similar size to me, and I've managed to get 1.5 times breathing space, so I could actually expand my business twice and again. But my mate, Sam, that's in the pool with me, he won't mind. Our businesses are practically the same size, and he's only allowed about 200-300 more units. And that is just, you know what I mean? I just feel really, really bad for people that have got them sort of limits like that. I just don't know why. I don't know how they came around to deciding that. I think it's just an algorithmic thing based on sales rate. Sell-through rate is the only thing that I can think that's based on from what I've seen. Sell-through rate. That's from what I've seen, because Sam's sell-through rate, you won't mind me saying it, he had a lot more slower selling items than me that he hadn't done anything about, and I didn't. I always sort of got mine moving quite fast. So I think that's got a big thing to do with it, the sell-through rate. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I completely agree. There is, when you look at those extra indicators that Amazon base, those 4 main indicators that Amazon base the IPI on, when it comes down to brass tacks at the end of the day, do they care about the most? Sell-through rate, how quickly things sell, how quickly things can get out of their warehouse, and how quickly they can get their 15% referral fee at the end of the day, or 15.3% referral fee on average for most. So I think when it comes down to it, it has to be sell-through rate. Again, as more time goes on, we will be able to look into it more. But I'm gonna stick. I'm not gonna be Switzerland. I'm not gonna sit on the fence. I'm going to put myself out there, and I am going to say, I think although it shouldn't be confused for IPI, that it's something that will over time be reflected in the same way, as in your performance drops, your limits will drop. Increase, your performance increases, and that will increase. I think I'm hoping they'll take into account Q4. I'm hoping that they'll look at something. Someone said that herd sellers have increased their limits just by asking. I've heard this, but not seen any solid proof as yet, other than a few people have said that. So I'd like to see a little bit more evidence of that.
When I used to sell on eBay, like I used to do dropship on eBay, so we needed a lot of space. And I used to just email them and ask, and if your account was a certain age, and they would let you. So it sounds like there could be a similar thing. I think they just needed to put some sort of cap on it so that everyone had a little bit of fear inside them, so they didn't have loads of rubbish. And then maybe they'll assess you individually if you ask. I don't know. Hopefully, anyway, that'd be the dream, but.
Yeah, Mark said himself he's requested it to be increased, so no response yet. They've capped him at 120,000 units, like 10% of that. I need 3 times that, and I can tell you none of my SKUs are so selling. So I think it's definitely, this has happened just this last week. Last week it happened. So it's not going to be something we're going to have solid answers for. We have to wait for a certain cycle. And of course, like the same with IPI, we know this now because it's been going for some time, that even if you do sell out of all your stock or anything like that, it's generally not reflected in your IPI score until 90 days later. So this is probably going to have the same kind of impact. So we really will just wait and see what happens. And of course, we will keep you updated. But there's nothing you can do about it, guys. It is what it is at the end of the day. It's Amazon playground. Yes, we don't agree a lot of the time with some of the decisions that they make. But, sometimes they do climb down on things. And I haven't seen anyone as yet that is like slitting their wrists over this kind of thing. So it's something I'm hoping, given a bit of time, given a bit more understanding of Amazon's perspective of where this has come from, then we can start to understand it a little bit more. Erkan said, I get penalized for out of stock and some I can't replenish. I have manually removed Amazon recommendations and this has improved my score. Absolutely. Yeah. So again, another thing, what free removals, which is until midnight tonight, guys, is perfect for helping increase that limit. And by the way, again, same as your storage limit for IPI, I'd imagine this will work on a rolling total. So if you sell 200 units tomorrow, then you should be able to send another 200 units in. So as far as I can tell, that's pretty much what it looks like is going to happen the same. Yeah. Mark says he's spoken to his Amazon account manager and it's all new to them. Why would they tell their staff what's going on?
Well, they've got a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, now I wanted to talk Hayden. Now the title of this, although we haven't even spoken about it because all of our technical issues and everything, is can a new seller make money on Amazon through FBA? So that was the title of this particular episode. And it was really funny earlier on because Hayden messaged me and because I put with Hayden Davidson, but I didn't mean like Hayden's a new seller. And he messaged me and he said, oh, I've been selling for 18 months. Do I still qualify as a new seller? And I just replied back, yes.
And I was like, well,
Yeah, never gonna lose that tag. No, in all seriousness, I don't see you as a new seller. It was more to kind of say, look, before COVID, you know, before COVID happened, and probably like two and a half years ago, people were saying Amazon's dead. New sellers don't have a chance because of the way that Amazon pay out, because of all the new restrictions, because of things that everyone's gated on, and all these restrictions and everything like that, that new sellers don't have a chance. Yes, we know we've had a bit of a unicorn year over the last 12 months. But what's really interesting today is now I started doing chat with Nat, like I said, quite a few of the sellers that I've spoken to since I've started back up have started selling within the last 12 months and are absolutely smashing it. So it is this kind of myth that I think if you're a new seller, that you can't be successful and you've missed the boat and Amazon FBA is dead and all this rubbish. And sellers like yourself who've done so well over the last 12 months and beyond, because let's face it, the first 6 months, you're just treading water. You know, it's like, what's going on here? What's going on? And it's only probably until you go through your first proper Q4 that you can really kind of get a hang of things. And this is what I was trying to explain to someone today. This is very much a business about learning, big learning curve, and lots of things to take on. So we spoke to you 6 months ago. You made a lot of changes in your business. You've gone to the outsourcing model. So kind of fill us in over the last, well, six months really, since we last spoke, about what's changed in your business and where you're at now.
So much has changed in the business. So much has changed. And to be honest, I felt like 6 months ago, I mean, I still do see myself, and I always say at the start of all my videos, really, I just say, like, I still don't see myself as any way like an expert or anything like that, you know, and I still do think I am a very newbie 18 months in, because I think anyone 18 months into any business is still a newbie.
Join the club with Amazon. I don't see still don't see myself as an expert.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, 6 months ago though, I didn't realise how far I was going to come in the next 6 months. But for me, looking back 6 months ago, I think I literally didn't know what I was doing, but I actually thought that I did at the time. And obviously, when I was speaking to you, things were going, fine. But since then, things have just it feels like they've just cemented a bit. You know what I mean? Like there've been tougher times. Like I felt like almost giving up. Probably a couple of months after we had our chat, you probably remember, because I'm very open on my Facebook group. But then since then, it's just everything. It's like that was just the final major hurdle. I'm not saying there's not more to come. Obviously, it's Amazon, but that was the final major sort of mindset and test from Amazon. And after that, it just seems to be like everything's just started to really cement. Like, I feel like I'm really on top of things now. We've sort of picked our niche, which is what Matthew Wright, really helped me with. And now everything seems to be like, a proper system around everything now, most things. And I suppose that's what's changed. So for me, it's been the last, honestly, 2 or 3 months have been completely game changing. I don't just mean profit wise, because actually one of them months I didn't really earn anything because I had to reinvest into certain things. But yeah, it was that final pivot I needed. And I think that pivot was certainly sort of picking a niche of categories, picking a niche of stores, getting that system set in stone. And that's why I didn't make money for one of them months, because I didn't order anything whilst I was creating them systems. And after that, now I've done them sort of groundworks, like really got much more clear on the vision, decided that I wasn't going to get distracted by anything apart from online arbitrage. For me, that's what works for me. I was just going to do OA. I was going to get the systems in place, pick the niche, pick the stores, go all in. And since I've done that, things have started to, I've picked the sort of selling method that I do, like some do fast sellers, slow sellers, whatever. I picked my version of that. And ever since then, I've actually been able to build a system and a process around that, because that's what distracts people, isn't it? It's like, oh, let me check my repricer. What should I do with that? What should I do with that? What should I do with that? But when obviously I use PPP, but once you've set your minimums and your maximums, if you know exactly what your method is, not what everyone else is doing, then you just set your minimums to that and let it do its thing. and then you've only got to make decisions on certain things. So that's just an example of just one of the systems to have in place. Because a lot of people want a lot more profit, a lot will take a lot less, but I'll pick mine and that's it. So yeah, that's it. I've just created the systems, picked on the niches and everything, and just decided on it. I suppose that's the biggest changes that we've made, and now it feels like a real business.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that it feels like a real business, and I think that's something that, if anything, the last 12 months has really demonstrated to people. Because again, even before pre-COVID, and probably with the exception, I would say the last 12 months to 18 months, probably 2 years before that, I see more and more people now that really are expanding their businesses. And I think I've always said this, that for some reason people look at Amazon like it's not a real business. Like it's like this kind of fabled, like, I don't know, it's not a real business. But in reality, it is a real business, and it's a really serious business at the end of the day, because you are dealing in buying high levels of stock, tangible assets, like you said, and trying to sell them for profit. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't work out, and you have to make real decisions within the business. Amazon is very much an ever-changing market. It's a bit like the stock market. I know everyone's been talking about currencies and things like that, or Bitcoin or whatever. That's a hot topic at the moment, and I'm not going on to talk about that. I'm not, that's not for me at all. But in a way, it is very similar. I can see how people are attracted to about the two, because selling on Amazon is very similar to that. You have to look out for trends. You have to look out for dips. There's seasonality. Oh, what if something changes in Amazon policy? Do you have to do that? So I think there's more to running Amazon probably than some more traditional businesses or something like that. So I think more people have realized that definitely over the last 12 months. And when that's gone into their mindset and they've realized that, then they've pushed forward. I always think that someone has to have their aha moment. Generally, it happens for most people in Q4. When did you have, I know you've spoken about this before, you've spoken about, just not my laptop, sorry. You've spoken about, you've had that aha moment, but obviously you then went through time where you were like, this isn't for me, I'm breaking my back. I don't know if this is all going to be worth it. When was that time since you made the changes that you thought, nah, this is a real business, this is what I'm doing, I've picked my thing, I'm happy with it? When did that happen?
Honestly, in this month.
Wow.
Yeah, literally. Because it feels like this was like, it was just, it feels like everything slowly came together. And now this month, quite honestly, just boom, like literally, as I said, like since I spoke to you last month, profits are up, like net profits like 80%, on a lot better than, obviously it was a software error than when we were going through my profits. But up what the actual profits were, we're up like 80% since the chat with you. And I'll just run over that quickly now, obviously, but it was this month that I had that sort of aha moment, I suppose, just to say like, right, this is much more secure now than it ever felt before. And I think the main thing that I took away from you there was that, you've got to, you've got to track and test everything. And that's what you said. You've got to track and test everything. You said like, don't be too disheartened, because remember, we were looking at the wrong profit here. You were like, but I still took away everything you said. You said, look, track and test everything, like don't be disheartened, because now you've got to this stage, you've done it all, you've got your systems in place, you've got your staff, you've got your prep center, the business. Now it's just a case of tracking and testing and tweaking everything. And I took all that information, realized that I'd made more money, implemented that, and now this month, just a month after, we're up 80%, and it's definitely down to what you said to me as well. For a massive majority of that, and that's because I just tweaked everything I was doing. I looked at where the little costs were going out. I got rid of some services I didn't need, got cheaper services elsewhere, and then I started looking at the whole operation. I started looking at my average sell price, my average buy price, how much I was spending on prep, which was the main issue. Obviously, it's always the main issue when you've outsourced everything. So I tracked that, and then I started adjusting my purchasing, like, you know, the amount that I spend per item, which is obviously going to have an effect on the prep fees, you know, because there's only a certain amount that my business's budget could buy. Therefore, my prep fee significantly went down. Obviously, check the staff that were working all properly, and I just tweaked and adjusted. And I didn't think it would happen this quick, but since doing that, obviously, huge difference. So yeah, tracking and testing and just tweaking every little bit until you get it right is what I did. You know, as I say, like, fully decided on a niche rather than just and ahhing about it and thinking I'm in a niche. I said, right, forget about this section here. Let's just go into here and let's just do that niche. Since doing that, big tweak. Once again, huge difference. So it's all them little tweaks, I suppose, and I'll continue to do them. And that's you know, that's what happened. But yeah, this month.
Brilliant. And I'm so glad that you because you were really low when we spoke. I know you won't mind me saying you were like, oh my God, what am I doing? Yeah, what's the crack? What's going on? Sorry, guys, I've just realized that I don't know what's going on with the comments, something about Bitcoin, and I can't see anyone's name. So I apologize if someone's not a spammer or whatever, but I can't control any of it because nothing's working properly and I don't want to break anything. So just be careful with, you know, I don't know who's posting it. I've just seen a link go up. So guys, if someone's put a link up, and again, I'm sorry, you might be someone we know and it might be genuine, but please no links or anything like that whatsoever. Yeah, especially about currencies and Bitcoins and that type of thing. So yeah, I can't do anything with that. But yeah, no, but I'll be honest, you know, as much as I want to take credit for that, I have to give big props and big shout out to Luke Dugan for that. He is someone that I've learned that from 100%, is that he is someone, and I've never seen anyone do this the way that he does it. He will just test, analyze, pull it back, see what works, see if he can squeeze another, you know, 10p out of something. And he looks at it very much like a case of, right, okay, I did 100 grand last month and I spent 20 grand. This month, let's see if I can do 100 grand, but only see if I can spend 18 grand and get an extra 2 grand profit or something like that. So he's most definitely, you know, the person that I learned those tactics from, or that strategy from. And 100% completely agree that test, track, analyze, see what works for you, see what doesn't work for you. Are you using a prep center? Fantastic. What is the cost of your units? Brilliant. Speak to your prep center since you joined them. If you've increased the cost, if you've increased the amount of units, can they give you a slightly better price? You know, all these different things, because once you get into the volume game, 10p's add up, you know, and they can make a huge part of your business. And I think sometimes we're all guilty of it, that we're always trying to strive for more sales, more units, more this, more that. But actually, if we look at our actual business as it stands, you might be busting a gut trying to, you know, scale up an extra 5 grand in your business or something like that to get an extra £1,000 profit in your business. Yeah. But by looking at your existing business, you might already have that £1,000 profit there just by making tweaks within that business.
And just another note on that, actually, I forgot to say, which was the main thing. I've done that 80%-ish. You know, I haven't worked out all the profits yet, but 80%-ish net profit increase from pretty much the same turnover. So, you know, it's not like I've doubled it. Do you know what I mean? So most people just look at it and go, right, I need to do more sales. Well, that's what I thought. But no, I didn't need to do more sales. I needed to get a better process and tweak what I've already got. And then I managed to... give or take a few grand, maybe 3 or 4 grand more I've done in turnover, I've managed to, you know, significantly increase the profit off the existing stuff I had just by tweaking the buying decisions, basically, and then some more internal stuff. So it's literally, it's not always more turnover, is it? You know, because I'm not interested in being a massive seller. But I do want to be at a nice level with a nice income each month. So that's when you got to tweak, I think.
Well, I've said this time and time again, different strokes for different folks, and people have different parts in their business. But what everyone can do is look at their outgoings, look at, never cancel anything because you don't think you can afford it. Cancel it because you're not using it or whatever. Have a look at your business that you're already running, how it exists. Am I, spending out more money here when I shouldn't do, or whatever? So it's all about making those changes within your business. But I've said it all along. Turnover means nothing, hardly anything within this business. I mean, Mark Penn might disagree with me on that one, but he's the $1 million man, as I call him. But it's definitely something that what I've always said. I know someone I've used this example many times of someone that I know that stays on the VAT limit every single year, and this person's profit is as good as some people that are selling like 200 grand on Amazon, because he runs his business at a very high ROI model. Only sell, it might change with obviously the limitations and everything moving forward, but at the end of the day, if sometimes year on year a business doesn't necessarily increase their turnover every year, because not all businesses have the ability to do that. Yes, when you're in a growth stage, but a lot of the time, big businesses, what they do is their turnover will stay exactly the same, but their profitability increases because they hire people to look and analyze within their business where they can save money, where they can, cut expenses, where they can do this, where they can get something cheaper. Can I get a better exchange rate if I buy all my currency year up front like I didn't do last year? That's what real businesses do, and that's what people in real businesses do. So you shouldn't always be constantly chasing more sales. You'll just be a busy fool at the end of the day.
Yeah, bit smarter, bit better stuff. And then, growth once the systems and the better buying decisions, once you've got the knowledge there, I suppose. This is what I say, like in my, a few of the videos I did before, I think someone said, oh, I've got like 30, 40 grand. Great. And I said, actually, it'll be better off some people that if you start with only $1,000 on online arbitrage, because you're at high risk if you've got 30, 40 grand and you're willing to spend that in your first month, because you're going to make so many bad decisions. And it's because they haven't had that time, is it? Just to tweak. It's taken me 18 months to get to this stage where I feel like now I could, seriously invest some decent money, So yeah, tweaking, adjusting, learning.
Absolutely. Sean says someone could do 500,000 and still make more than those that do $1 million. I completely agree that 100%.
Yeah.
Mark says revenue is only good if the profit is good. Absolutely. Lots of Bitcoin chat. I want to go back. Apologies, I don't know who this is, apart from apparently an old man. But here we go. Old man alert. I've been an Amazon seller for over 10 years. And the best advice I can offer new sellers is to understand that Amazon never stands still. Absolutely. Changes are constant, some good, some awful. I've been close to throwing in the towel so many times, but you learn to roll with the punches. And Facebook's just gone again. Just find workarounds and keep going. I'm just going to reboot this, and then I think we might have to call it a day.
We've gone off again. Oh.
Yeah, it's gone again. Right, let me put it back in. Oh, do you know what? I've got to be honest. I think StreamYard, we should be back on again. I think StreamYard is one of the most amazing bits of kit out there. It's so good technology. Sean's crashed on Facebook, staying on YouTube now, definitely. But I think StreamYard's such a good bit of software, and this is the first time in using it in well over 18 months it's ever done me a wrong, and so I can't moan about it too much. But yeah, any other questions, let me know. I think most people are probably going to give up after fourth time of crashing, but thank you so much for everyone that's hang on in there. I know technology wise, it's not been great tonight, but we had a very high amount of viewers on tonight. So if you did persevere, thank you so much for joining us. Anything further you want to add, Hayden?
No, I don't think so. No, just obviously for your question though, the main description of the video. Is it possible? to make money in the new Amazon sellers. I think it's a lot easier though. If it's a lot easier if you're willing to do a lot more work yourself to start with, that's for sure, in my opinion. Like do it yourself, do the admin yourself, sourcing yourself, prepping yourself. I think it's non-VAT registered as well when you're starting out. I think it's quite straightforward and simple and dare I say easy. Obviously, it's just when you want to.
We don't like the E word around here.
Oh, no. If you want to outsource everything, like I have, like a lot of people do, then that's when it becomes a little bit more, complex. Possible, but complex, and that's when the challenges came for me anyway. So that's what I wanted to add there.
So actually, just before we go, that's an interesting point that I did want to bring up, and obviously got interrupted with the crashing tonight. Is now you've outsourced your prep, now you've outsourced your sourcing, you've got your VA pool with, I think it's Luke and Sam, isn't it?
Yeah, at the moment it's just Luke, because Sam's had a few issues with something else, but he should be back. Yeah.
Oh, good to hear. Well, hopefully not good to hear that he's had issues. Good to hear that he's coming back. But so your sourcing's outsourced. You put a lot of processes in place. Did you get an admin VA as well?
I've got a business manager now. Yeah. So literally, yeah. So everything's outsourced apart from purchasing. Yeah.
So purchasing, which actually, I think people underestimate how long purchasing can actually take. So taking away the purchasing, beforehand you were prepping, you were sourcing, you roped your mum into doing it, if I remember rightly. You had all these elements.
Admin was the worst.
Yeah. So what now does your day consist of? Tell us about that.
Honestly, it's the better the sourcing VAs, the better the day the sourcing VAs have. And now I've got a VA full time on replens, by the way, just go through replens. So the better the day that, the more replens we find and the more the more deals the sourcing VAs find, the longer I have to work, obviously purchasing. So, but on a normal day, it's like literally I just, 2 hours for 4 out of 5 days a week. It's just 2.5 hours. I literally have to spend just purchasing, making sure everything's all right generally, although my business manager does that for the majority of the stuff, and that's it. And then I can work on other stuff. So that's about 2.5 hours a day, I'd say. So, which is pretty nice. And then one of them days I'll spend an extra hour just checking that obviously all the returns and all I've been paid for the discrepancy items that haven't arrived and stuff, because the business manager hasn't got access to my bank account yet. So things like that. But I would say it's a highly part-time job now. Like we're talking like 10 hours a week. So, on the actual Amazon business, which is really nice. And as I say, this month we should be earning a really decent whack as well. So
good to hear. So with regards to passive income, which is, I believe, impossible within this particular business, I think that there's always a certain level of overseeing or management that needs to be done within this business. If you could put a percentage on where you were, on where you are with your business now, what percentage would you say that is outsourced and what percentage are you running?
I'd say 80% outsourced, but 20% is like, it's the much more important stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like the much more important stuff, which I've got to do, which is, arguably harder work, but it's the important stuff. So I won't, anything that I know that I just don't have to do, I'll try and outsource. Obviously the purchasing is a bit annoying, but I would say, 20%, majority of that is purchasing. Other than that, I'm just ticking off my business manager, making sure that we've got all the returns in the bank account and stuff. So it's literally, it's just checking purchasing really. So 80%.
Well, I think that's phenomenal, Hayden. I think for someone that's been through the full Amazon emotional roller coaster experience, and COVID, which you have, I think to get to this point within your business where you're the 80-20 rule, 80% is outsourced. I think probably as a maximum is 90% that you could get to this business, but at the same time, not necessarily outsourcing it to that extent sometimes can have a little bit of detrimental impact on your business. So I think that's a phenomenal number. I think it allows you to be constant in your business and allows you to be able to do what you've done over the last month, which is increase your profit by 80%. Without that 80%, you wouldn't have been able to do that. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely no chance. If I was still prepping away and all that sort of stuff, there's no chance I would have been able to do this. So it's been vital, yeah. And also, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's like the next step is to get a purchasing manager and then eventually a growth manager that oversees the little bits that I'm having to do. And then we're talking like 3%, 97% outsourced. And I'm thinking, well, do I want that additional cost of the growth manager? But then I'm thinking if I've had the breathing space and the head space to be able to grow, make these tweaks with being 80% outsourced, I wonder what tweaks I can make if I was 97% outsourced. So there's always that flip side of, maybe it is a good idea to get the growth manager in. So I don't know. I'll have to see.
Absolutely. We crashed again, I'm afraid. So I'm just going to answer this. I know. I'm just going to answer one more question, then I'm going to give up the ghost, guys. Well done for everyone hanging in there. Really appreciate it. And I'm not sure who asked the question, but how many people do you have in your team now, Hayden?
At the moment, just taking on number 3. So, yeah, just 2 at the moment.
Okay. So.
Sorry, I've got the sourcing pool as well. So.
Okay, cool. So you're up to, 3 to 5 people probably with the pool taking that.
Yeah, when Sam's in it, yeah. So there's like and then they're like a bit more indirect, the pool, but they still technically work for us because they're getting us deals every day. And then obviously the accountants and the prep centre and everything like that. So
yeah. Hayden's empire, 100%. Right, Hayden. Thank you for joining me. Hayden, for anyone that's interested, for anyone that likes listening to what Hayden's got to say, he's got really good insight into the business. He has a YouTube channel, which is doing phenomenally well. Congratulations on that. And also his Facebook group. So shameless plug time. Give yourself a shout out for those, just for anyone that's watching that wants to catch up with you on your YouTube channel or your Facebook.
Yeah, cool. No, cheers. Yeah, so it's basically just, YouTube's my main thing, really. So it's just Hayden Davidson. My YouTube, and then Amazon FBA Journeys Live is obviously where I have cool guests like Natalie on, obviously, as I spoke to Natalie on a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, that's it really. Instagram I don't really do, but follow me on there because it looks good for a vanity metric, please.
I went on Instagram for like the first time in ages ago, and because my daughter's dancing school is on Instagram. And they put a cute picture of her up in her YouTube. And my friends were like, why are you on Instagram? You're not on Instagram. You're not cool enough for Instagram. And I was like, yeah, do you know what? I might give it a bit of a go. So we shall see. Watch this space. Maybe I'll be adding stuff on the gram at some point. But thank you, everyone. We're going to call it a night now. It has been glitchy as whatever.
All things considered, you did really well.
Yeah, guys, thank you for hanging on in there. It really is much appreciated. I'll be back same time next week. I've literally can see I've got about 60 million Facebook notifications. Must be people tagging on this thing saying it's gone dark, or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, we'll come back next week, and fingers crossed StreamYard will be, well, actually, I don't even know if it's StreamYard. I actually think it's an issue with Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg, sort it out, because we don't like to be glitchy like this. We like to have continuous streams 100%. But good excuse for anyone to tune in on YouTube next week. Yeah. The guys on YouTube got the continuous stream. So thank you for bearing with us. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Hayden, for updating us on your story. And I'm sure you will come back and join us if you would like to, of course, and keep us updated of how things are progressing in the future. And yes, we want to see 80% profit increases all the time, please.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.